Okay, let's dive in. Selling your home. It's a huge financial decision, maybe one of the biggest you'll ever make. And you know what? It pretty much all comes down to a single, critical number, the price. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the strategy behind that number.
Just think about it for a second. Before any of the staging, the open houses, the negotiations, before anything else, there's one question that is on every single seller's mind.
Yep, that's the one. Not what you hope it's worth, and not what some website algorithm tells you it's worth. But what is it really worth? Right here, right now, in today's market. That's the big puzzle we're going to solve together.
Now, to solve that puzzle, the first thing we have to do is separate our emotions from the cold, hard facts. It means we got to look past the price we want and really zero in on what the market is actually willing to pay.
You know, the official term for this is market value. And the language here is super specific for a reason. It's the most likely price. It's not a guess, it's based on real data. This is that data-driven sweet spot that we're trying to find.
There's this great saying in real estate: a property well listed is a property half sold. And it's so true. It's this perfect reminder that getting that price right from day one is literally half the battle. If you get it wrong, you could be in for a long, frustrating ride.
So, how do you actually find that perfect price? Well, you definitely don't guess. The pros use a very specific, data-heavy tool called a comparative market analysis, or what we call a CMA. A CMA is built on something called the market data approach, and it's considered the most reliable method for one really simple reason. It reflects what real buyers have actually paid for similar homes recently. It's not a theory, it's based on reality. And the process itself is pretty logical. It starts with your house, of course. Then you find similar homes that have sold recently nearby. We call these comps. But this next part, this is where the expertise really shines. You have to adjust the value based on all the little differences, like maybe you have a brand new kitchen or their house has a bigger yard. All that analysis leads to the final, data-backed price.
But here's the thing. Your home's value doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's hugely influenced by the rest of the market, good old supply and demand. And it all really comes down to one key metric.
And that metric is inventory. Basically, it's a measure of the supply of homes for sale against the demand from buyers. Think of it like this. It tells you if you're selling with the wind at your back or if you're sailing straight into a headwind.
This creates two totally different climates. A buyer's market means there's high inventory, way more homes for sale than there are buyers, so the buyers have the negotiating power. But in a seller's market, inventory is low. You've got more buyers competing for fewer homes, and that gives the seller the advantage. Knowing which market you're in is absolutely crucial for your pricing strategy.
And that brings us to our final, and maybe our most important section. Because even when you have all this great data, it is so easy to fall into one very common trap. This is a cautionary tale that every single seller needs to hear. And here it is, the big temptation. Why don't we just price it high? We can always come down later, right? I mean, it sounds so logical, but it is one of the biggest mistakes you can possibly make, and I'm going to tell you exactly why.
The problem with overpricing is that it creates this cascade of issues. First, savvy real estate agents might just skip showing your house altogether. Then, the house just sits on the market, and buyers start to wonder, what's wrong with that place? By the time you do cut the price, it can come across as desperation, and that just invites lowball offers. You end up chasing the market down instead of meeting it head-on from the start.
So at the end of the day, pricing your home isn't about the highest number you can imagine. It's about the smartest number that the data supports. So before you list, you have to ask yourself this one simple question. Is your home priced to sell, or is it priced to sit? Because that answer, well, it makes all the difference.